Hey everybody, and welcome to day 21 of 31 and 31. And today I decided to watch a movie that I've actually been thinking about watching for quite some time, and I, for some reason, just haven't found the time to do it. And part of me is like, okay, yeah, that's probably the reason why you didn't want to watch this movie right away, especially when it came out. This movie is also available on Shudder. Once again, sponsor, would love it. But this movie is Sadako versus Kayako. And if you don't recognize those names, I'll put it plainly, it's The Ring versus The Grudge. And I remember when this movie was coming out, I was like, oh god, this is going to be one of those like terribly bad but funny and awesome movies to watch because it's going to be silly and it's not going to take itself too seriously and it's going to do all this stuff. And then I watch it and it took itself a little too seriously. And it didn't have as much fun with it as I thought it was going to. Now, the one thing I will say is that each of them get enough kills for the other. You know, it's not like a Freddy versus Jason situation where Jason gets all the kills and Freddy barely gets any in the movie and even gets one stolen from him. Yeah, it just, that was my big thing, is that I think that it just took itself too seriously, because the basic story is that, you know, it starts off with Sadako and, you know, the whole thing with the ring, and she's been upgraded, okay? She's no longer got the well in her video, and she now can kill you in 2 days, not 7. So that was interesting, and it really feels like Kayako is like a side character. Like, it's really Sadako's movie, right, in general, because you spend so much time, you know, going through her storyline and barely any time going through Kayako's storyline, you know, with the girl that moves in the neighborhood with her parents, and ooh, the house is weirdly and it's haunted. And then, you know, then there's some like kids that have unfortunate things happen to them. But it's really just about, it's more about like, I think her name is Natsumi and Yuri, and Natsumi watching the tape and then trying to figure out how to stop the curse from happening of Sadako. And then there's a bunch of silliness ensues. The only part where it really kind of starts to get silly, and it feels like how I wanted it to be, is when they introduce another pair of like ghoul busters, I guess you could say. When they show up, then it kind of gets like in that ridiculousness that I wanted it to be, instead of it being just like so serious leading up to this point and going with that. And that's really like maybe 45 minutes into the movie, maybe 40 minutes into the movie. I couldn't figure out why they didn't go that route in the beginning and introduce these characters so much earlier. And then, of course, the fun is in watching Sadako and Kayako beat the crap out of each other. That was good, but it was so short. Like, it should have been like, you know, even with Freddy versus Jason, this is what I have to kind of compare it to. Like, that at the end of it, you have a good 30 minutes of them like fighting it out and doing all these little things here or there. Here, it just feels like it's like 5 minutes, maybe 10. I don't know. It just seems like it's so rushed. And the fact that here they are, and like, you know, I wasn't expecting it to be scary. You know, maybe it could have been. Maybe in the theater it was kind of creepy and I could see some of those things playing out. But I'm like, at home, I really don't think it's going to be that way. And it really wasn't. But I thought at least, you know, there would be more with the kills when they happened. And there really wasn't. And that's maybe where my disappointment was in this movie. So it's not like terrible, right? But it's also not laughably terrible, though I did laugh at a couple points in the movie. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens if there is another sequel that comes out of it. So it definitely was sequel baiting at the end of the movie, or wherever it went from. It also felt like a cop-out to like Freddy versus Jason and the way they ended this movie. But yeah, I mean, if you really want to see it, I say watch it. Go for it. You might have a good time if you're super into the Japanese versions of both. But other than that, I'd give it a 2 out of 4, you know, hairs in the throat. Yeah, it's 2 out of 5, not 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4 is weird. But yeah, I mean, it almost gets into 3 territory. I think that if it didn't take itself so seriously in the first like act and a half, then it would have been a much better movie. Like, I would have enjoyed this much more. But because it didn't get silly into the last part, yeah, I kind of, you know, knock it a point. So I guess we'll be back tomorrow with another one of these 31 and 31 movie reviews.